Hello, everyone. How's it going? It's David Ruffner again. Wow, this last chapter was amazing. It made me reflect on many areas in my life where I did and did not exercise cultural humility. Stacy, Lilly, and Conley argue that cultural advocacy, humility, and social justice are important to the counseling profession because cultural humility, cultural awareness, and advocacy and social justice help build strong relationships with the client. I could 110% agree with this. Chapter 5 discusses both cultural competence and cultural humility. Now, cultural competence refers to the ability to effectively interact with people from different cultures, understanding their perspectives, their values, and communication styles. But cultural humility takes it a little bit further. On the other hand, cultural humility goes beyond competence and involves maintaining an open attitude or orientation when working with diverse clients. In this context, having multicultural open orientation means being receptive and respectful to the various cultural backgrounds of clients. It implies a willingness to learn, adapt, and acknowledge the uniqueness of each individual or group. Remember that cultural humility emphasizes an ongoing process of self reflection and self awareness, recognizing that one's cultural competence can always be improved. It was so interesting to hear that if we as counselors exercise this cultural humility, that we could almost stay out of trouble from the microaggressions. And remember, those microaggressions are those subtle, often unintentional forms of prejudice that often attack marginalized groups. And I dealt with a microaggression when I was younger, when I was in fourth grade. And I feel like this park ranger was not being aggressive in any shape or form. My dad and I loved the Civil War, and we were going to Fredericksburg National Battlefield. And I was always into just the troop movements, tactical movements of the different battles. And I came in asking the ranger for a book on the tactical strategies. But the ranger in the store said, "Wait, I have a book for you." And it was on African American or prominent African American Civil War soldiers. Now, I loved learning about African American Civil War soldiers, but I really wanted a book on the tactical troop movements, and it offended me slightly because was thinking, if I was white, would he have gave me the tactical troop movement book? And I know he had no means to offend me, but I took a little offense to that. And that could happen to a lot of our clients at times when we think we're being innocent, but a lot of things can become microaggressions. So we have to be very careful of that. Dr. Sydney in the Thoughtful podcast also said one way as counselors we could avoid these microaggressions is to talk with our clients about their culture, their gender, and sexuality, and ask them if it's okay if we talk about those things during the initial intake. So making sure the client's okay with that before we start sessions, because this will avoid a lot of the microaggressions down the line. Just reading these chapters about social justice and cultural competence really just gave my private practice a ministry, or my future private practice here of District Piedmont Palms. After a lot of prayer supplication, I decided that I really want to help those who are fatherless. If you look in our book, Stacy, Lilly, and Conley mention verses that talk about social justice, but if you notice, four of them talk about defending the fatherless. For example, Isaiah 117 says, defend the fatherless, plead for the widow. Proverbs 28:5 says, or actually Psalms 82:3 says, defend the poor and the fatherless. That's a lot of verses on defending the fatherless. And I looked in Psychology Today. They had an article on the importance that a father has in some children's lives. It says the father can play a crucial role in the cognitive, behavioral, and general health and well-being areas of a child's life. Boys having this positive male figure helps boys develop positive gender role characteristics, and girls, they could trust or have positive opinions of men. So, as my private practice of District Piedmont Palms, I want to start small, sustainable greenhouses for underserved communities and poor communities of socioeconomic statuses here in Washington, D.C., in Virginia, and Maryland. And I feel like this will really bring a ministry to my practice. These greenhouses will be an area of safety for these children, just to learn more about plants, learn more about God's nature, to get off those phones, but also just to have counselors that are there like me to just help these babies have to have a father gain those small experience, small moments in the garden, because God thinks this is so important. Our fatherless children need this help. And I really appreciate just reading this chapter and getting this word from the Lord. Thank you guys. See you.